This is lesson number 5, activities. A new company had 40 workers when it was 3 years old and 60 workers when it was 7 years old. What is the amount by which the number of workers changed in that time? So the workers went from 40 to 60. That's an increase of 20 workers. What is the amount of years changed? We're going from 3 years to 7 years. That's a 4-year change. Let Y be the number of workers in the company and X be the years the company was in business. Delta Y is the change in Y, or the change in workers, and delta X is the change in years. We're going to find delta Y over delta X, which is 20 over 4, and that simplifies to 5. We can write a sentence about this, which is our slope. The company grew by 5 workers each year, because if we think about the units of our 5 up top, we're going to have the change in Y, which is the change in workers, over years. So it's 5 workers per year. So now, assuming this is staying the same, we can fill this table out. It gives us that in year 3 we had 40 workers, so in year 2 we must have had 35 workers because it grew by 5, and so on. Then going the other direction, we're increasing by 5 each year until we get to this block here between 8 and 10. Notice we're jumping 2 years, so we increase by 10 workers, and then when we jump 10 years we increase by 50 workers. Next, we're going to graph these points, or a few of these points, on our graph. The horizontal axis is the years, and the vertical axis is the number of workers. Using a nice straight line, mine's going to be a little bit wiggly here. Be good to use a straight edge. You can graph a line to model the data. So next we're going to identify the y-intercept and then write a sentence about it. So the first thing to do is actually find the y-intercept on your graph, which is the point 0, 25. When we write our sentence, we want to refer to both the 0 and the 25. The 0 is talking about the years, so we can say that in English, when the company started, that's 0 years old. When the company started, there were 25 workers. It's important to reference both parts of the coordinate pair, so you want to have the 0 when the company started, and also refer to the 25 workers. What is the slope of a line using the data from the years 2 and 10? So first we're going to need those points. So we get the points 2, 35, and 10, 75. And then we can use our slope formula to find the difference in our y coordinates and the difference in our x coordinates. We have 40 over 8, which simplifies to 5. What's the slope when we use the point when we go from 5 to 8 years? Again, we need the points 5, 50, and the point 865. We'll use our slope formula to find the difference in our y's, 65 minus 50, over the difference in our x's. And we come with 15 over 3, which simplifies to 5. So notice that no matter which 2 points we choose, the slope stays constant. We can write an equation that will model what we're talking about. So y is the number of employees, number of workers, and it grows by 5 workers each year. We're going to express that using the 5x. And we start with 25 workers. So we have an equation for the model. Now we're going to look at another graph. In the following graph, y gives the value of a car in dollars and x gives its age. So our car value versus our age in years. Pick 2 data points on the graph and find the slope between those 2 points. So the first point I pick is 4, 8,000. The second point, 12, 4,000. We can use those points to find the slope. We're going to find the difference in our vertical change over the difference in our horizontal change, which will be 4,000 over 8. Sorry, negative 4,000, that's important. Don't skip your negative sign. Over 8. And this simplifies to negative 500. Now, if we pick another 2 data points, we can expect that we're going to again see the same slope, but we're going to show that. So we're picking the point 0, 10,000, and the point 0, 20, 0. We can use those to find the slope. So we get 10,000 minus 0 over 0 minus 20. And again, we will get a negative 500. They should be the same because a line has a constant slope. Now we can write a sentence in plain English talking about it. So we're going to mention both units, the dollars over years. So each year, the value of the car decreases by $500. Or the car's value decreases by $500 each year. Either way, the slope's negative because our value is decreasing, and we use the negative, when we write the negative sign in English, we often use words like decreasing. Now let's look at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point 0, 10,000. And again, when we write a sentence using the y-intercept, we want to use both coordinates. So at the time of purchase, that's referring to the 0. The car's value is 10,000. That's referring to the coordinate, the 10,000. Write an equation to express the value of the car in terms of the age. So we're going to use x and y to express this model. So y is going to be equal to the initial value of the car, which is 10,000, and this time minus $500 times x. Okay, we have one more question. The cost to rent a car y is given by this equation, where x is the number of miles driven. If the car was driven 100 miles, what was the cost to rent the car? So they're giving us x being 100. We're going to plug that into the equation, and we can calculate the cost, which would be $85. If the car was driven 300 miles, what would the rental cost be? Again, we're given a value for x, and we're going to calculate y. Now we can write these 2 points that we found as ordered pairs. So x is 100 and y is 85. When x is 300, y is 105. We can find the slope because we have ordered pairs. So we'll find the difference in our y values over the difference in our x values. $20 over negative 200. Oops, sorry, 20 over 200 is 0.1. And notice that that was in our original equation. Our slope is always the thing that we're multiplying by x when we write an equation of a line. So the slope, meaning in this sentence, again, we're going to look at our units. It's going to be dollars per mile. And so for each mile driven, the cost in dollars increases by 0.1. And what does the 75 mean in this problem? The 75 is our y-intercept. So when 0 miles have been driven, the cost to rent the car is $75.